Look, before the comments are predictably filled with rival fans telling me to stop moaning that Arsenal, are just always finding excuses for why they drop points and that everyone's against us, I want to say this. We are 6 points behind Liverpool, potentially 9 if they beat Everton. Why? Because we deserve to be. Arsenal have been 6 to 9 points worse than Liverpool this season. I've got genuinely no complaints about that. I don't think we've been anywhere near their level. I also on this channel regularly make videos, whether it be on the podcast with Sharoy or other videos, trying to either explain Arsenal's tactics or explain what I think we could do differently to improve, where I think Arsenal could get better. I suggest players I think we should sign, because I know that Arsenal are far from the finished article. I know there's a lot we get wrong internally. There's a lot we can change to improve the fortunes of our season, and I try to highlight that as much as possible. But Arsenal fans do have a right and a reason for complaining about the standard of officiating and some of the decisions that we've been on the end of, particularly this season. Now, I'm not here to cry, corruption and say the PGMOL against us, but I am here to ask the PGMOL and actually ask kind of football fans in general, because I know we banter each other. I know that, when a decision goes against one club, fans are going to have fun with it and, we're all going to argue and debate, and I get that's all part of it. But I do want to ask the question, how do we want this game to be officiated? What do we want the rules to be? What are we doing here? When you look at some of the decisions that have been given against Arsenal, and there are others for other clubs, and we will talk about those too a little bit, you just think, is this really the way we want the game to go? And I've got some examples. Now, if you're going to entertain my complaints, then great. If you think I'm just here to moan and that I'm making excuses, look, I've tried to make that point. I'm not going to convince you otherwise that, I don't think that... I'm never going to convince you that I think there's faults in Arsenal if you still believe that I'm here just to complain. But I'm here to raise what I think are really legitimate points. Let me talk about some of the decisions that have gone against Arsenal. Decisions that I've never seen before, and I don't think I've ever seen since. The Martinelli double yellow card at Molineux. Arsenal are 1-0 up. Martinelli, I think, tries to delay a throw-in. That probably is a yellow card incident, but he then picks up another yellow card for fouling someone as they're running towards our goal. Now, you could argue there's 2 yellow card incidences in there, but I've never seen someone be given a second yellow card without knowing they're on the first one. I've never seen it. The closest I've seen to a decision as egregious and as strange as this was, I think, Dalot at Anfield last season, when he got a yellow card and then immediately a second one for protesting the foul/yellow card. I mean, that was a ridiculous decision in itself. I mean, that was seriously appalling refereeing. The only thing you could say is that perhaps Dalot knew he was on a yellow card and then protested it. Martinelli didn't know he was on a yellow card before he committed that second foul. Now, I have seen players commit 2 fouls in one action since then, and they haven't been given double yellows and a red subsequently. Never seen it, but Arsenal seem to be the guinea pig for that kind of rule, or at least the precedent that's been set for that kind of rule that I haven't seen really conducted elsewhere. The Trossard and Rice red cards. To this day, I won't be told that those aren't ridiculously harsh. I won't be told that Trossard wasn't trying to switch the play to Martinelli and that he was a millisecond behind the referee blowing the whistle. And I won't be told that Rice wasn't simply moving the ball out the way that was thrown into his path by Joel Veltman before kicking it. But that's the precedent that they wanted to set. That, quite frankly, if you're a millisecond, off the referee's whistle while there's a lot going on away in a big game, or you tap the ball away as it's been rolled into your path, we're going to punish that. But I haven't seen that in any other... I mean, we're not even seeing, first yellow cards for time wasting as much. And we know that there's been loads of incidences because Arsenal fans are petty enough to keep highlighting them, and rightly so. But I've certainly never seen a second yellow card for that kind of thing. Szoboszlai, we know that was the classic example in the weeks after. I think in the week after that we had the Declan Rice situation, but they didn't give it. And you look at that and you think, why was the rule so strictly applied to Arsenal in that situation? And look, again, I'm not crying conspiracy or whatever, but I think we're right to feel hard done by. We're right to ask that question. I think the decision that is most like, I think we can have the fewest complaints about is the Saliba red card at Bournemouth. I mean, I do think he's committed a foul he doesn't need to commit. A lot of people blame Trossard. I think Saliba's still to blame in that situation. But the referee on field said yellow card. He said there's a lot of work for the striker to do. He's looked at it in real time and they've gone, we'll give a yellow for that. VAR have decided to come in and overturn that. Now, I could kind of stomach that. I could kind of say, okay, maybe they're sort of right to get involved with that one. But then was it Tosin Adarabioyo, I think, at Anfield for Chelsea? Why wasn't he given a red card? Why was that not overturned? Why did they not look at that and go, yeah, that's pretty much the same incident. In fact, they're almost identical. And the excuses that were made for keeping him on the pitch there. And we're right to feel hard done by, because that's a point, maybe 3 points lost in a game where Arsenal didn't play well. And we talk about the fact that Arsenal didn't play well, were cowardly, going down to 10 men. But still, there was a Van de Ven one, I think, a week or two after that you look at and you go, what's the real difference between these? Slight differences, but like red and yellow card differences. But VAR decided to overturn. And remember, VAR is meant to get involved when it's a clear and obvious error. I don't think you can say that the referee's yellow card there was a clear and obvious error. It was, yeah, some would probably give a red, but many, many, many people in the football media space said, no, it's probably just a yellow. But VAR got involved. And I remember one last season, and I feel like this was sort of swept under the carpet because we won the game. But I remember Kai Havertz, he won a penalty against Man United. I think Wan-Bissaka and maybe Casemiro, I can't remember, 2 players got around Kai Havertz. And there is contact, and he goes down, and they've given a penalty. The referee's given penalty on field, but VAR have looked at it and said he's initiated contact, Kai Havertz. So actually, we're going to tell you to overturn this. Look, he might have initiated contact. Kai Havertz is that kind of player. And it felt like maybe there was a little bit of a dangling leg. But there's no dive. Like, he didn't throw himself to the floor. There was contact. And they deemed that clear and obvious. They looked at that and went, no, we're definitely overturning that. But that's not where the bar has been for so much of VAR. It has to be, no. The referees had a shocker for us to get involved. But they did in that situation. And again, we're looking at it going, okay, you can argue for why that's probably not a penalty, but this is not how VAR has been used in previous games. So again, I think we're right to feel hard done by. And then we go back to more recent incidences. We go to this Saliba one the other day. Again, I said on Forever Arsenal, I said on my match report too, you could make an argument for Saliba hasn't won the ball. Yes, he's touched it, but he's not won the ball, and he has kind of put his head into João Pedro. You could make that argument. But I say again, I've never, ever, ever seen this kind of decision before. I've never seen a clash of heads. And it's a clash of people calling it a headbutt. I mean, come on, really? I've never seen a clash of heads as 2 people go for the ball with their head. I've never seen that given as a penalty. And yet, we live in a world where they want to punish that. They want to punish Declan Rice for moving the ball out of his way. They want to punish Leandro Trossard. And people say, yeah, but those are yellow card incidences. I understand, but they result in a red, and referees need to know the consequences of giving that second yellow card. They result in 2 red cards and a penalty against Saliba. But Bruno Guimaraes, and I'll keep going back to this example, was seen to run to Jorginho, lift his forearm, and knock him in the side of the head, in the temple area. No red card. No red card whatsoever. I mean, even if they'd seen it and said, look, the referee missed it, it's not a red, but we'll give a yellow for it, at least that would have shown some sort of punishment. But no, they did nothing about it. Red card incident. João Pedro, he's got a player on his back, he gets away from him, but then he turns and he swings, and by that much, he misses the guy's face. And we know if he catches him, they're giving a red card. I mean, even I don't think they're that stupid to not give a red for a blatant elbow in the face. But because he didn't catch them, they decided not to give it. I mean, what's the precedent we're setting here? And I go back to what I said at the beginning of the video. What standards are we trying to set in this league? That, if you're petty enough to kick the ball away a little bit, you're a little bit late delaying the restart, or you kind of catch someone as you go for a header, we're going to punish them with big consequences, red cards and penalties. But you're going to stay on the pitch for swinging elbows. This is the precedent the PGMOL have set. Not if Gabriel has his, shirt pulled in the box. We're not going to give penalties for that. But if you try go for a header. So if you're deliberately fouling and pulling a player, no pen. If you go for a header, you actually touch the ball, but you catch the other guy, we'll give a penalty for that. You can make arguments. There'll be people in the comments saying, James, it was a penalty. James, it wasn't. What are you talking about? You can make arguments. But is that the way we want the game? Are they the levels we want for consequences in our game at the highest level? Not for me. And I think Unai Emery made a really, really good point when John Duran was sent off. He said, look, it might be a red card, but the referee, who was Anthony Taylor, like it was for the penalty against Saliba, for the John Duran red card, he sent him off in real time. And Unai Emery saying, so you're telling me that in that moment you 100% saw and you were 100% sure that what John Duran did was on purpose? And he raises a good question, because whether Anthony Taylor got that decision right or wrong, and for what it's worth, I actually think he probably got it right. The point is, you were that confident? With VAR behind you, that could have just checked it. And you know that if you give that decision, VAR are very reluctantly going to get involved and overturn it. So you have to be pretty damn sure. But Anthony Taylor wants to make these big decisions that are very, very controversial. And I think when you've got VAR behind you, that's really concerning, in my opinion. I do think you should be on the slightly safer side. And I've accused referees of not being brave enough in decisions. And I understand that. And I know that there's a fine balance. But I think these two are pretty extreme examples in which VAR are ultimately never really going to get involved and overturned. And what you've had is two very, very controversial decisions made in the moment by the referee. And it's led to controversy and discussion around Anthony Taylor, and Match of the Day pundits on 2 occasions going, I think Anthony Taylor's got that wrong twice. And we don't want to be having these conversations. So here's why I'm doing this video. Here's what I want to say. To the PGMOL, who won't see this video, but you know what, if they do, great. My question is to the PGMOL and Premier League clubs and everyone involved in kind of making the rules, try have an impact on what we want the game, how we want the game to be officiated. What we want to be reds, what we want to be yellows, what we want to be penalties, what we want to be, offences that, get genuine punishment. And at the moment, I'm watching the state of the game and I'm just thinking, there's a real imbalance here. And I think I've given plenty of examples to explain why. Arsenal need to beat Newcastle, and I think ultimately the reason we are where we are is because we haven't been good enough. We can't blame officials. We genuinely can't. Not for, the level at which Arsenal have performed, but we can definitely feel really hard done by some difficult decisions. And what we need to do now is get some players back from illness, get active in the transfer window, and try have a really good week in the Cup, because Arsenal really need to have a big week in the Cups, because I think our season probably depends on it now. Alright, I'll leave it there. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on everything I've said. To rival fans watching this, please try and open your mind. I'm not complaining for the sake of it. I think I'm raising legitimate concerns about the state of officiating in this league. And I think we should all be having a conversation about that. Alright, hope you enjoyed this video. Hit the like button if you did. Please subscribe to the channel. And I'll catch you all very soon.